pleasant day to each and everyone. Our report is about the Rubaiyat by Omar Khayyam. Rubai, this is a Persian poem of poetry with 4 lines and has a rhyme scheme of AABA. And the plural form of Rubai is the Rubaiyat. Rubaiyat, it is about the poem about enjoying life. This Rubaiyat, it is composed of quatrains, a stanza composed of 4 lines. This means that the first and second and fourth lines end in a rhyme. Omar Khayyam is the author of Rubaiyat. He was born in May 18, 1048 and died in December 4, 1131. He is an astronomer, mathematician, and also a poet known for his scientific achievement. He's a Persian poet who authored the famous Rubaiyat, which is probably the most famous or popular Asian poem in the West. So who is Edward Fitzgerald? He is the one who made the most popular translation of the Rubaiyat in 1859 because the Rubaiyat is actually written in Persian. We all know that Rubaiyat is probably the most popular Asian poem in the West. It is composed of 2, which is, first one is, it contains metaphor. So what is metaphor? It is a comparison between a 2 object. It is composed of 3 parts: the topic, image, and the point of similarity. So what is topic? Topic, it is the item that is being talked about, while the image, it is the item that possesses a related characteristic that is vibrant, vivid, or stand out. That related characteristic between the topic and the image is called the point of similarity. So we have there an example. Jesus Christ is a lamb. The topic is Jesus and the image is lamb. So the point of similarity is the lamb is known as gentle or harmless. So basically it means that Jesus is someone who is gentle and harmless or meek. The Rubaiyat contains allusion. It contains many allusions. So what is allusion? It is also a metaphor found in stories, history, or other literature. A reader cannot understand an allusion unless that person is familiar with what that allusion refers to. Stated there is an example is the Achilles heel, which means the weakness. We all know that the heel of Achilles is his weakness. Other person cannot determine its meaning if it's weakness really if they don't know that the meaning of Achilles heel. I have another here example is the mat is my Waterloo. We all know that Waterloo is a place where the great conqueror Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated. So meaning Waterloo is also weakness. Mat is also his weakness. The first quatrain. Wake, for the sun who scattered into flight the stars before him from the field of night, drives night along with them from heaven and strikes the Sultan's turret with a shaft of light. First quatrain talks about how the sun ushers in the morning. We have 2 metaphor, which is the stone that puts the stars to flight and hunters of the east. Obviously, the sun makes the star disappear from view. Also, the sun is like the hunter in that it catches everything in its light. The praise caught the Sultan's turret in a noose of light refers to the fact that the turret of the Sultan's palace of worship is the tallest object in their community, and therefore it is the first thing the sun illuminates as it rises from the east. The second quatrain. Before the phantom of false morning died, Meldo a voice within the tavern cried, when all the temple is prepared within, why nods the drowsy worshipper outside? The second quatrain echoes the idea of seats of the day and we only live once. The praise dawn's left hand refers to the first dim light that fills the night sky an hour before the actual rising of the sun. The poet seemed to say that we need to enjoy the pleasures of life while we are still young because we will soon lose the ability to enjoy the physical pleasures of life.
And as the cock crew, those who stood before the tavern shouted, "Open then the door! You know how little while we have to stay." And once departed, may return no more. So in the quarantine tree, a group of people standing outside the tavern called for someone to open the door, because they can only stay for a little while and can return once they leave. Some for the glories of this world, and some sigh for the prophet's paradise to come. And take the cash and let the credit go, nor heed the rumble of the distant drum. Look to the blooming rose about us. Low laughing, she says, into the world I blow at once the silken tassel of my pores. Tear and its treasure on the garden throw. And the next one is the quartine 13. So addressing a companion. The speaker describes his contentment, and they are in the wilderness with wine, bread, and book of poems. The speaker's companion is singing. Wilderness seems like paradise to the speaker, and these stanzas continue to explore the impermanence of early life and to counsel enjoyment of here and now. And the last one is a quartine 13. Some people love the present world, the speaker says. Others long for the eternal paradise promised by the prophet. The speaker tells the reader to take the cash and let the credit go, and to ignore the beating of drum in the distance.
Stanza 14. Look to the blowing rose about us low. Laughing, she says, into the world I blow. At once the silken tassel of my purse tear, and its treasure on the garden throw. The treasure of the rose is its pollen, from which other roses will grow. Its purse is the stamen of the flower. The idea here is that real treasure has nothing to do with money, commerce, or power. The carefree words of the smiling rose contrast beautifully with the fervent thought of humanity's world of hope in the following verse. Stanza 15. And those who has banded the golden grain, and those who flung it to the winds like rain, alike to know such aureate earth, and are turned as buried ones men want dug up again. Those those who are cautious with their possessions, those who keep the golden grains, and those who just set it all free, who spread their own gold seeds in the wind, Sh- share the same fate. They both become rotting corpses that 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 once buried. No one wants to dig again, or yet infused with gold connected to the gold bead.
First, let's go to Quatrain 19. I sometimes think that never blows so red. The roses wear some bird Caesar's head. That every hyacinth the garden wears a drop in its lap from one's lovely head. A poetic notion that the redness of a rose is derived from the blood of someone slaughtered, sorry, King Caesar, who died on the spot where it grows. That every hyacinth marks the spot where some beauty died. So as said, the red part here refers to the blood that was spilled when King Caesar died, and the the term roast in this part is also a part of that since the normally the color of a hyacinth is white, and it was termed roast since it turned red due to the blood that spilled due to the death of Caesar. And as said, hyacinth is also a herb, and drop in its lap from someone once lovely head terms is someone must be hidden, namely King Caesar. And for the verse no for the quatrains 20, and is delightful herb whose tender fledges the river lips, on which we lean upon it lightly, for who knows from what once lovely lip it spring unseen. So this continues the theme of the last verse. In effect, it says that sitting in the river bank, which term in this quatrains is the river's lips or river's bank, just think that the herb on which you sit might be the mark or where the person died, namely King Caesar, the spot where some unknown person died. There is a pun here also, as as I said, in the herb is on the lip or term or also referred as bank or river bank and grows from the lip of a long dead person. So the term herb here namely refers to the hyacinth as namely refers to the hyacinth I said on the verse I mean on the quatrains 19 since it is also used as an herb in the early days and during now it is also used and it has and we cannot know it and it says that we cannot know if that the river bank we sat on where some plants where some herbs or namely the hyacinth grow maybe the spot where King Caesar died. And for the verse 20 and I mean sorry quatrains 21, ah, my beloved, fill the cup that clears today of past regrets and future fears. Tomorrow, why tomorrow I may be myself with yesterday's 7,000 years. The cup that clears is referring to a glass of wine, so we must compare it in the cup in the verse 7. The meaning is unlike drinking to drown one's sorrow over past regrets and future fears. The end of the verse seems to mean something like tomorrow, the me of today, will just be another part of history. According to some of Omar's Khayyam day, yesterday's 7,000 years was reckoned to be the number of years of human history that had elapsed since the creation of Adam and Eve.
Make the most of what we yet may spend, before we too into the dust descend, dust into dust, and under dust to lie. Sun's wine, sun's song, sun's singer, and sun's end. So, in the sweet of any face shall to eat bread till thou return unto the ground. For out of it was thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. So, so one minor difference, of course, is that the biblical verse refers to sweet and bread and makes no mention of wine or song or singer. So one other point about the last line is that it is frequently paraphrased as wine and woman and song. So presumably the most significant ingredients of all life of leisure, Fitzgerald thought expand his appeal to all members of his readership by referring to an ambiguous singer. So the last phrase, sun's end, repeats a common theme in Fitzgerald's version of Rubaiyat that death is eternal. There is no end to it, and in later quatrains he will point out that no one returns from death. This quatrain then echoes earlier quatrains by reminding us to make the most of what time remains because once we die, we will be without wine, without song, and without singers. What comes then will be endless.
So on verse 71, and much as wine has played the infidel, and robbed me on the rob of honor well, I often wonder what's the wind survive. One half precious as goods they sell. So follows on from the last two verse. Even though wine has robbed him of his honor, would he have it any other way really? So vintners are wine merchants. The last two liners refers to the transformation of simple grapes into intoxicating wine. So this verse, which became the verse 103 of the second edition and verse 95 of third, fourth, and fifth edition. So it was traced by Heron Allen to this verse of the Auxiliary manuscript. Although wine has rent my veil, so long I have a soul, I will not be separated from wine. I am busy concerning vintners for they, what they buy, that is better than what they say. So again, this says much the same as Fitzgerald, but yet again, Fitzgerald says it too much. So on verse 72, it says that, alas, the spring should vanish with the rose, that youth's written manuscript should close, the nightingale that it branch sang, and whence and whither flown again, who knows? So the spring and rose again compared to the verse 17. Here it is used to signify fading youth. And where does youth go? The nightingale here appears to have a little do with the nightingale and the rose of verse 6. So rather it seems to be bird of youth, which once it leaves of our branches, flies up to who knows where. Compare to the bird of time metaphor in verse 7, Shakespeare in the well-known love song of Mistress Mine. So, wrote of I love and you dust. But alas, death comes all too soon. He tells her, and then the beauty shall no more be found, nor it I marble vault shall sound my echoing song, then worms shall try than long preserved dignity. So the same complaints this time from a young man named Ancipel are not to be found in the Greek anthology. So that's all.
Before ending our report about the Rubaiyat, we have here a set of questions that we want to share with you. First one is, why did you expect to feel while reading this work? We actually expected that the poem is all about life, death, religion, and something that is really about deeper emotions. First, we are actually uninterested because we're very unfamiliar with the words that is used in the poem. But upon reading the poem, it actually enlightened us and we became fascinated of what it really truly means. Next one is, what was unsettling in what you read? Verse 3, the line, and once depart may return no more. Because sometimes, even if we try our best to make our life better, working hard, and once we are departed to life, it will be gone anyways. Live life, your life, filled with joy and no regrets. Another one is I didn't find something particularly unsettling, but the thought of dying one day and witnessing the death of our loved ones make me scared because it might happen at any time. The Rubaiyat, it actually made us realize that life is very important and we only live once. So live our life to the fullest and enjoy what life really means and what it brings to us. The next question is, how did you adapt to what you un- The next question is, how did you adapt to what made you uncomfortable so that it more clearly fit what you interest or desire? Our answer is by living our life with fullest, with joy and no regrets. Just live our life until we are still young and free. And next question is, with what or whom did you most closely identify in the work? What identification gave you the most pleasure and the most displeasure? Most of our answer is our parents, because our parents are the ones who provide us, even though sometimes we have shortcomings with each other, but still we are all working on it. And the thing that displeasure us is that sometimes we don't feel being appreciated. Another one is a book of verses. All of us already know what it really means. The Bible, also known as the Holy Bible, is a group of religious texts. It contains both Old and the New Testament. Did the work fit Next question. Did the work fit your picture of the way life is? Some of it is actually, our answer is yes. What adjustments did you have to make so that the work did not challenge the world as you know it? Well, respect, and doing good things to our fellow people and especially to our beloved loved ones is actually enough. Next question is, what does the work fail to tell you about characters or events and imaginary or people materials did you use to supply what is missing? We think none, because all of the poem messages is about really tackles about life, what life there is. And all we need is to execute those things, which is also help us in the present and in the future. There is so many various emotions while reading the poem that we can actually relate to certain event. Number 8 is the next. The next question is, what memories does this work recall for you? Some of us answer one of the moment of my life being with my relatives who passed away, though they are in heaven right now. Still, we created a wonderful memory with each other. Basically, all of our answer, it tackles about our relatives or our loved ones who passed away that we really want to treasure our memories with them. Because it is really important the time spent with those people we love. The next question is, can you be sure you have not simply misread a passage, for example, by making a vocabulary mistake? We believe that there were few words that we didn't really understand what it really meant, and we made a mistake while reading the poem because some of the words are really unfamiliar to us. Then, next question is, if you read this work using a different critical strategy, how would it became a different work? For us, we would like to change some of the phrases, but I think if to other readers that has very different strategy of learning what really the poem means, maybe for them it will really became like more meaningful, unlike us, which we are still a college students. That would be all for the report of Rubaiyat. Thank you, and we wish that you have learned something from us.